Hey gamers, I'm Hater115 from SC Leaks, and this is the Inforunners. Today I'm being carried in conversation by the Astropub, Algared,
Yes.
and the one I'm going to immediately throw the conversation to after this next sentence, Execute. We'll be talking about the brand new straight-to-flyable ship, the Consolidated Outlands Nomad.
Yeah, so we're going to be doing some speculation. We've probably spent, 2-3 hours already running through some different concepts, and we got joined by a bunch of supporters on this one. So thank you and kudos to you guys for helping us out.
As
And we got
I'm beginning to call this the info runners level of amount of prep for any video, 2 to 3 hours.
It makes a difference though. And we've even had a couple of guests on, like Maya and Morphologist, and they've seen the difference that it makes. And there's a lot that goes in behind the scenes compared to, I think Maya said it best, where he's just used to jumping on a podcast and off they go. And that's just not how we do it here. So there's a fair bit of thought that goes in behind. And we even let the, in this case, I did let the supporters chuck out their little wild theories out there, and we even went down some of the past. And I'll be honest with you, one of the ones that we've got here today, I had in my head, but I didn't bring it up because I thought it was too small, and it's quite honestly come quite up. So I think we'll kind of start where we ended with the supporters and our own stuff. And the two real big theories that we came up with is, obviously, the first one is the Refinery ship that we've talked about at length. But the other one that really came up quite a bit was a spaceship hauler. So think like a mini Banu merchantman, or as Dr. Dante called it, a gypsy hauler. Which I think was very aptly named with the skin that we've seen flying around a bit, which was the Black Widow. So I think we'll kick it off. Which one do you guys want to tackle first?
Let's just tackle the Gypsy Hauler.
Yeah, let's go.
Because I think the Gypsy Hauler is probably the weakest version, but in some ways it's also probably the best concept. It's I don't think there's as much evidence for it, like that's hard evidence, but I think there's a lot of evidence for it that is circumstantial evidence.
Well, the Gypsy Hauler, I think it just introduces every idea that the Refinery just takes and runs with. Because
I love how
bit that.
I'm sorry, I gotta cut you. I love how you've both jumped on the Gypsy bandwagon in the last 10 seconds. But that's amazing. All right, that's gonna stick. Dr. Dante, it's your fault. All right, sorry, to go. Sorry, I cut you off. I just had to bring that up. It's just like that you both took it and ran with it.
Well,
I will clarify something as well before people get upset. We're not meaning this in terms of the negative connotation of gypsies often used in historical context. We're using it in terms of just a catch that's easier to for people to understand the concepts. The idea of it being a nomad.
When I think of that ship, is the guy that used to sell the takeaway to Bruce Willis's character in Fifth Element. You know that ship that pulled up alongside his house? That's the type of ship I'm thinking of. But anyway.
Well, yeah, I've heard the community refer to...
The ship that I think of that CIG did is the Big Benny's delivery ship.
There we go. That would work as well.
I've heard people talk about this as the taco truck. The idea that it's the same kind of concept as a quick pick up and go kind of thing. So
yeah. Sorry, Hater. We all cut you off there. Yeah, go back to what you were. Sorry.
I just wanted to make sure that people we're not like, I understand the historical context. We understand the historical context of that words. We're just trying to use it as a reference so people can get what we're talking about. Yeah,
I think before we get into the actual concepts, I think we should just mention the things why we jumped to those two conclusions first already.
Yeah,
because we can kind of we were talking about this earlier, and we've narrowed it off of some general ships. We've cut off is this going to be a fighter type ship? Is this going to be a regular exploration type ship? What we've kind of narrowed it down to, I think, two odd options that are both very what's the best word to say it? Stationary.
They fit the manufacturer's profile.
There
was a couple of things. So there was the manufacturer's profile, manufacturer's law, and the packages that we found in the files that related to a chop shop pack and an independent industrial pack. Right, and so if you think about independent, that basically means from the beginning to the end, you can do all that. What was the independent haulers? Sorry, wasn't it?
Independent haulers, yes.
Yeah, so you can haul everything from the beginning to the end all on your own. right? And so that showed the refinery ship, but it also shows a shop ship, so the ability to sell your own stuff. So they both worked in that pack, and they both worked in the chop shop pack, because you could obviously take the salvage and you could sell it yourself. You can take the salvage and refine it yourself. So quite honestly, we even talked about a variant at one point. Maybe it's both. So they both fit in that pack. Sorry, Algared.
And the other thing that made us also argue against it being a fighter is the fact that not only does Consolidated not do fighters, but usually at things like the IEA or the IAE, sorry, CIG will bring out a big ship. They'll bring out, a combat ship. They'll bring out something, they'll bring out different ships for different professions. And we know that the gunboat is a combat ship, which tends to say they're not going to bring out another combat ship.
Algared, you're opening a can of worms, so I'm going to cut you off, because we did
I'm
go
finished.
through but we did go through other ships, didn't we? When we went through combat, can anyone remember any of the others? We went through about 3 or 4 different ones.
We
But
went through
General
combat,
Hauler.
exploration.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
General Hauler.
So where we ended up coming back to, these were the 2 strongest without a shadow of a doubt. And I can't put one in front of the other, because I think there's at least equal amounts of evidence for both. But I do think the Refinery probably is just in front. They are it's like the election. It's too close to call. But
Well, actually,
not anymore.
But
let me backtrack a little bit and give some lore connotation before we continue the discussion. So Consolidated Outland has not really had much of a theme other than Silas Kerner is Elon Musk, but in the future. That's kind of what it's been. The Silas Kerner is the guy who runs Consolidated Outland. But since they've done the Mustang and the Pioneer, it seems like the theme that they're running with Consolidated Outland is, both in the naming and in terms of its design, is taking the frontier back for the average person. It's the middle class frontier, as it were. You've got your middle class, sort of cheap version of a muscle car that now anyone can afford, and the portable building, like homestead builder in the Pioneer. So the idea of it being either one of these makes sense, because first off, it could be where you're a mobile shop on the frontier selling good things, or a mobile refinery.
Snake Remedy, the guy sells the
exactly.
Snake
or a refinery, in the sense that, hey, you no longer have to go to those professional refineries. Now you have the thing on the frontier. You can do it yourself, which is the same kind of mentality and the theme that runs through the Mustang and the Pioneer releases. So
I get a strong... and that was one of the big things that came through in the Mustang release, wasn't it? The idea that, why have just one when you can have a whole slew? Let's give the ship to every man. Let's make this a really, something that every person can get into. And that idea was again carried through with the Pioneer. Why stick with the big guys and have to get them to bring in or ship in your component parts for your settlement when you can build it yourself? And so that idea really does sit strongly with Consolidated, and the idea of either it being a shop or a refinery. So
I get a very big vibe from Consolidated Outland from Star Wars Firefly Serenity, that whole Wild West in space mentality, the gritty universe, and that comes across quite strongly in that, like, I can see as it's a really strong ship that will stand the test of time, and I can also see them being repurposed for other things down the line, like those junk haulers they've talked about in other space games. I think Consolidated Outland would probably be the first one of those that you would see, but correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe down the line, many years from now, they might do a junk version of a Consolidated Outland ship, but we'll wait and see. So let's get back to the shop hauler here, because we've tangented backwards a bit, but that's okay. That's what we do here. So what are the advantages that you guys can see for a ship like this being in the game right now, as opposed to, say, something larger like a Banner Merchantman? Obviously, there's a cost saving if you're doing it in a smaller ship, but you can carry less cargo. There's also probably a bit more danger because you're not being escorted or having the guns. What are some of the pros and cons, I guess, is what I'm trying to ask for a shop hauler of this size?
For the taco truck, the gypsy wagon, this kind of thing. Pro, it's small, and like any small ship, it means you're less vulnerable to being attacked, because people won't take you seriously. You may have stuff, but you may not have the stuff they want. It's also easier to maintain because, like a ship like the Banu Merchantman or the Kmart, the Kraken privateer, they're huge, so they're going to require lots and lots of people to run. Whereas if you just had something the size of the and scale that we think it's going to be, 2 or 3 people, you can get like a couple friends to escort you in a fighters, 2 or 3 fighters, and you're pretty much fine. So it's a much lower cost operation. It allows you to be more flexible with your operations, and more specific. So instead of having to be like, here is my giant mall of things and I have to fill it up with things, now it's like, I sell unique components for this specific item.
Here is my corner shop.
Exactly. You want to buy watches? I got watches.
I tell you, it'd be really handy if you could actually fit it inside some larger ships. If you could park that and that, I could see that working quite strongly, especially if you can fit it inside something else, or even just get an AI to follow you.
You fit it inside an 890 jump, and you got the 890 jump, and it comes and all the guests go, hey, I can buy stuff. I can buy my watches.
Buy your
tourist wares and all the other
sell all your
rubbish
memorabilia and stuff for your ship tours.
We can be also extra redundant and just land it on a Kraken privateer.
That's not about but like, even if you landed on a Kraken, there you go. You've got the mini shop version of if you only need the one shop. That's a great idea.
Well, then I kind of think that actually brings a bit of a question when it comes to like shop gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
What stops a ship, or what actually causes a ship to become a shop? It kind of brings up this idea of like, how is CIG going to manage the shopping system? Why don't we just have a ship that's just a hauler, just full of a bunch of items on the ground? If you're going to do player trading, you'll just be able to do it like no matter what ship you're in. Every ship's a trading ship because it's civilian trading.
Because it's not just players; it's NPCs.
But also, that's another ship they can sell. They can sell it if it's another thing.
Because money.
Money.
I think the biggest thing is what Paul said. The shops are ones which the NPCs will actually also be able to access and buy things from. But I think one of the things that
Algared, I was just gonna ask real quick. How long ago was it that you and I did that episode? Oh, so long ago. It must be 2-3 years ago now. We speculated on shops and space stations that will play our own run.
Yep.
How long ago was that? That was a long time ago, and this is all before this has all happened, and that still hasn't happened yet. And I still think that's going to be a thing too. That we'll eventually be able to run shops and space stations. But sorry.
Well, I think there's certainly the idea of a Million Mile High Club is at least going to be a possibility for that.
Yep.
If not more. But I think in terms of the shop, one of the things that does make the shop reasonable is the fact that so far we've got a privateer, we've got the BMM, we don't have anything smaller. It's a profession starter, so it becomes a profession starter for the selling. We know that the BMM went back into development, so this could also be the breaking of a BMM into that blockade runner / big mall.
We know it's on the cards too for next year, hopefully, as well. After it's gone back and reconcepted.
So getting the basis for that idea working or in makes sense. The downside, I think, is just the fact that we don't have ships, markets on ships yet. But this again could be the start of that.
Yeah, so, and I think you and I did talk a long time ago about a solo type ship that was a vehicle, the shop too. We talked about this is not the first time we're going over old ground here, but it's reminding me of all this stuff we've talked about previously. Sorry, hey,
and it's not something CIG haven't thought about with the in terms of the Big Benny delivery truck.
Exactly.
Well, if we're talking about shop implementations, it's something that they can't really do for a hot minute. Like, I get why they would do a ship that would like be a early shop implementation, but you can't if they're going to do it now. Why would they do it?
Well,
if we're going on like their current timeline for how they're like doing like how they've like dealt out UI work, how they're going to deal out the stuff that's prerequisite to shops, we are looking at a 1.5 year wait at the very least.
Potentially, but I think we are on, and we do know the Nomad is going to be flight ready, so I do kind of agree with you on that. But there are prerequisites for it. We know they're working on player inventories. We know they're working on the cargo system. They're all things that would need to line up with that.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't even be something that lines up with it. It would be something that gets developed first, and then iterated from that would be the shops.
Well,
we're looking at that, and that's why I'm saying a 1.5 years. We're looking at this player inventory stuff a year later. We're looking at some more of those inventory things and iCache and all that stuff another half a year later. Whether or not they want I think they said they wanted meshing in before Quanta, which is the big thing that shops are going to need. They want that NPC simulation before they do anything with players driving the economy any deeper than that cargo trading. That's even further on. So actually, never mind what I said about a 1.5 years. We're looking at 2 years until the first actual feasible point in which a in-game shop would have all those ties to in-game tentpole tech that CIG has been wanting for those shops. If they want it to be truly interactable, you need all that stuff, and we're looking 2 years out.
And now you've hit the main reason why I don't think it's the taco truck, because this is something that's going to be in the game now. And while I am willing to believe that CIG will throw another useless ship into the game because they want to sell a ship.
I think they said they were trying to avoid. They did say they were trying to avoid that because of what happened with the Reclaimer.
Yes, they're trying to avoid that in the future. That's key.
And that's one of the things that they have done, isn't it? They even took the salvage ships off the drawing board and said we're taking these off because the gameplay is not there. So it is something they've specifically done. And I know people got their knickers in and not when the salvage ships were, when the Vulture was taken off the roadmap.
But yeah, okay. I think we'll move on to that kind of shows where we're thinking of the shop hall a bit. I think we'll move on to the refinery. So I'll probably start where we kind of ended there with the hauler. Paul, do you want to kind of talk about or even Hader or Algared, anyone can jump in here, of why we kind of think the refinery is more likely, and it's obviously to do with 3.12. Want to start there?
It's 2 reasons.
Yep.
The big one is at the end of last year. At CitizenCon, they had a series of, I think, 5 ships that were voting on.
4.
Of those 4 ships that voted on, all of those ships have made it into the game except for 2, which is the Xi'an Hauler, which was specifically like an alien / they mentioned Xi'an specifically, and a mobile refinery ship. We have the mining vehicle, the Rock. We have the Tavaran light fighter, which was the Talon. So we know that it's consolidated Outland, so we know it's not an alien ship. So it has to be the refinery ship, because that was the one thing that everyone really wanted to. So that's already there on top of the 312 announcements. So
and I don't disagree.
And even before you go 312 announcement, a refinery ship fits in with mining, and they have said they want to fill out a profession before they go and start something else. So they actually want to fully complete mining and kind of get all the bits and pieces nutted out before they start moving on. So having the ability to refine on a ship kind of plays into that idea as well.
Actually,
and then you got 312.
Actually, now that you say that, I'm going to go on a half tangent here. Because actually, you know what? I can talk about it now. The mining UI rework, it's also in 312. You would kind of need mining UI if they're going to do this movement-based hauler thing, or movement this portable refinery thing, you're going to need mining UI to kind of work with it. You can't just use that basic UI that's already created. You need something that can actually interface with it. It could be a happy coincidence that the mining UI is being touched up, so it might be able to work with refining better. But who knows?
Well,
just something I want to mention on the side.
I just want to cut in here a little bit. One of the disconnects that I know that's going to come up in the comments is people are going to go, well, how doesn't that mean they've got to make a UI for the refinery ship and stuff like that? And not necessarily, because we know they're making refinery decks. It's not a hot skip and a jump to copy the code to make like a portable version of that refinery deck to be a refinery ship.
I would actually say it is. The UI for the refinery stuff in the decks themselves is based off a shop. Basically, you go in and you say, "Oh, I want to purchase these speeds and I want to purchase these qualities." It's ranging from speed to quality, 2 different scales, but it's all done through a UEC. Mining, unless they do some really half-ass version where there's some fictional currency that's fuel, it has to be very different. And
so what
that's
I'm
not
saying,
even getting into what that gameplay is going to look like. Do we just plop the stuff in and then 10 minutes later you got yourself some good old materials that you could sell in the black market?
What if it's literally a copy and paste of the shop that's attached to the back of a refinery ship, and you go up and there's a console there? Yeah, they probably will, but that is the copy and paste I'm talking about. So as long as your ship was in the vicinity of the refinery ship, you go up to the back of it, you access a console, and it literally, you pay your money, you choose your speed and quality, and you just sit there and wait. It literally can be as quick and as dirty as that.
Here's the other thing. They could have them developed entirely separately. You can still go to a mining facility on an outpost and buy raw ore, and then what you do is you just have your ship process that raw ore, and you could easily set it up as a simple UI system using the mining UI that's being developed for it. And then in the end, you improve upon that and iterate it on it further, for future releases. So like you can definitely have a refining ship without having to transfer for cargo from, say, a mining ship to a refining ship, if the refining ship can just buy raw ore from a station or from another place.
And
so
if we also have docking, and I can't remember when docking is coming in, but I know they've talked about it.
It's around that area. I think you're right.
Then you could even have that your mining ship, docks with your big ship or your refinery ship, and it just refines the stuff and leaves it in the mining ship.
That's it.
No, there's nothing there to say that wouldn't be the case either. So, I think the evidence for a refinery ship does seem to be stronger than the merchant ship, than the little shop. But there is an overlap between them.
I just want to add, Algared, that I think these things that we've just mentioned are tier 0 implementation. So all the hack jobs or the lowest bar you could possibly type of have. And we take mining, and you can see how that's been alliterated on, and it'll be the same thing with this. Sorry.
The real question then is, how low is a bar for CIG? Has that changed?
The bar is buried under the ground. I mean, not even James Cameron can drag that bar up.
You wanted to do Limbo, but you're not going to have a chance, Hader.
I think that's a bit unfair. I think to say that bar 0 is so low, because we've seen bar 0 already. But
it's pretty good. And that actually, that is honestly one of the things that's against it. Is if this is coming out to live on the day of the IAE as a released ship for flyable, I don't see it having any of those things in it, any of that refinery, because that refinery wouldn't even be done until 3.12, so it wouldn't even work, even as a basic concept. It may, but I could also see it being a ship that's released to flyable, that is a refinery ship that has no purpose, but does have a purpose in 2 months. The kind of the Talon method of release.
That's one way to look at it. But what if they went the other way? What if they worked on the ship first before they even worked on refinery decks? You just don't know.
It could be.
That's the thing. So
But-
maybe they did
Well-
the ships, then they did the refinery deck. You don't know. So the thing is,
But
until it comes out, we can't call that.
But even if it is that, the fact that if it's they give it a hauling ability as well, then just like you were
Yes.
saying, that ship could still go to the minery shops.
That's
and
really
buy the
important.
minerals and
Yeah.
take it back.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't have the refinery aspect at this present point in time.
And Algared, that also works for the shop hauler idea as well,
Yep.
because it can, at its very most basic functionality, still be a cargo ship. Yeah,
Yep.
that's
so
really
both
important.
of those work, but I'd still say, like you were saying before, I think the refinery hedges it out just because we know the refinery decks and all the other stuff's coming, and it fits more with fleshing out mining more.
And the refinery,
Well, because we know it's going to be a ship.
Yeah, I
'Cause
think
that's
that's
the
the
thing,
real big thing, is what Paul said. Like how the 4 ships from last year, it just, we don't know anything about a shop ship, but it would work. It fits the manufacturer.
Yep.
Hey, it could be coming down the line, and we know they've got to consolidate our Outland. So maybe we just gave CIG an idea. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah. Is there anything else you guys want to add? Because I think we kind of wrapped it up there. I think we kind of probably all, I don't know. I thought it's a refinery ship for quite a while. I was kind of surprised where that, like, I had thought of the shop one today, and it was really good to see that come up. But I still think, just as Algared and as pointed out, the refinery ship for me is just a little bit ahead because we knew about it for so much longer. Hader, what's your kind of thoughts? Where do you sit? Are you like still on the fence?
Okay, so there are some alternative things.
Oh, we're gonna go into something else, are we? All right.
Well, okay, no, I mean, I'm not saying, like, I'm not gonna go into a full tangent. I'm just saying there's some alternative things they could do with it. You know, here's like a throw out there. CIG might be doing why does it have to be mining refinery? Why can't it be a gas cloud refinery?
Well,
No,
see, I often thought
gas
that
cloud
myself. I actually, me and Algared have talked this about in the past, and Paul. Are refineries going to be independent to their thing? So is a salvage refinery different from a mining refinery? But from what we've heard in the last couple of weeks, and believe it was John Crew, it was basically that most refineries are just refineries. So you can put in different things, and it treats them as different things, because it's just technically like if you think about a refinery in real life, it's just a giant cooking pot that heats and melts shit, right? So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you put salvage in or liquids or metals; they all melt down and become the same type of thing.
I hate to be Mr. Contrarian, but I don't even think CIG themselves don't think that way. Especially when it comes to I know they mentioned it in the interview.
Yeah.
But the station refineries are set up so there are proficiencies.
Yes.
So basically, some refineries in the Stanton will be more proficient towards some, like, these metals. Well, these ones are set for these metals.
Yeah,
there's already like this refinery proficiencies when it comes to materials in its own rank. Why not go the step further where, oh, this is a gas refinery?
I'll answer that one for you.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, the Starfarer is a piece of rubbish with absolutely no purpose apart from hauling, and it is supposed to be a gas gatherer and refinery.
Maybe it's this moment, you know? Maybe it's time to shine for a Starfarer.
Yes, that is very much where we've kind of, in the last couple of weeks, left the Starfarer. It's time to shine will come when they bring gas and liquid stuff online.
The reason I mentioned this is because, according to their monthly reports, they've already set up gas clouds to be interactable with the player. They're already set to do, like, some gas clouds can deal damage. Some gas clouds are like blur you. They do stuff. They're already set to do stuff. It doesn't seem like a long shot. There's some gas clouds to potentially be harvestable.
Yep. I think we're getting a little bit away from the topic at hand.
You know what, you are.
But
I mean, this is just general speculation.
If you want to come back and talk on it, we'll do another show on it. But I don't disagree with you. The Starfarer, the Reclaimer, the Orion, they're all going to have their time to shine. In fact, just real quietly, as I would like to kind of link this back to the start of the show, where we were talking about ships that are putting into the game that are kind of obsolete. This might, with the Refinery coming on board, we might actually see something that the Reclaimer can do. So you might even be able to use a Reclaimer to refine materials from a prospector, so it won't be completely useless anymore. All right, so I think we're kind of all in agreement. I think it's clear from us three that it's kind of at the refinery level. Are you thinking it's a refinery as well, Hader? That's what I was trying to get out of you. Are you still think it's a shop or a refinery, or you're not sure yet?
I'm gonna be Mr. Centrist and not pick a side, so I can say
That's
I'm on the
fine.
winning side once it's released.
All right. So I'd like to know in the comments.
Also known as the coward's way out, but okay.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I hope the razor slices you as you sit on it.
All right, so let us know what you think of Hader's Coward's Choice and what you think of our three choices of a refinery. What other ideas do you have besides a hauler and a refinery? We've had many different ones today, from combat ships to Minion Soldier last week was telling us about he thought it was a mini Pioneer that just delivers one module. We've heard so many different things about across the board, but everything that we've talked through in a group has all come down to this. And yeah, so let us know below your thoughts. Hader, where can I find you on the interwebs?
Okay, so you go to that discord.gg thing, and then you just type in SCLEAKS, and there you are. It should be easy as pie.
Also can find us on the SC Leaks YouTube. Paul, where can people find you and the Captain's Table and the After Hours? God, man, you've got like 4 different titles now, don't you? You've got a busy boy.
I do everything and anything. So you can catch me. I do live shows.
Let's hope no one takes that out of context. Anyway, anyone and everything he does.
Anyone and everything.
Anytime.
That's right.
Anytime.
Anywhere. He's a goodie.
I have standards. It's just,
they're very low, like that bar we were talking about
open
before.
for anybody. Yeah, I'm open for anyone. All right.
Yeah, so we're going on Twitch and YouTube, yes?
Yeah, so twitch.tv/the Astropub Thursdays, Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays. I kind of do every day something a little different. I do things like just discussing lore and doing stuff like this, like theory crafting on Thursdays. Fridays, I do a kind of a big event where I try to grab everyone I can find in the community and do dumb stuff. Like we filled a 890 filled with beers into its pool. Then we've got the Captain's Table, as you mentioned, on Saturdays. I also do a tabletop RPG podcast before that. So if you like science fiction and you like tabletop games like Dungeons and Dragons, then Sundays I do Zero to Hero, which is just kind of like I take a starter, nothing but a starter ship in Star Citizen, see how far I can go. Then Mondays, I do a lot of stuff. So twitch.tv/the Astropub, Monday, Thursday, and Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. And then on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday, I start at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. So
I will be on.
And if you're interested in lore, do check out the Galactic Historian, because Paul's probably
I will be on the Captain's Table just before the anniversary sale, and I did want to mention that I will be doing the anniversary sale information again for every day of the sale again this week, which is fun. Kind of not getting up every day and doing that, but yeah. So if you're looking,
I will probably join you that, because I actually don't have. It's Thanksgiving for us in the US. So
I usually try to grab these boys in as we can, but it's a busy time of year, especially for these two, because you guys are both teachers, and it is that time of year for marking and stuff, and reports and camping and a bit of everything. I've been hearing that all this week from both of you. I would like to see you getting Hader on the Captain's Table, actually. I think it'd be really good. So we'll see if we can get you guys together as well. And I'd like to get Piggles in there too. But yeah, so look forward to that. And we'll have a talk more about the anniversary sale on the Captain's Table. Algared?
Yep. And I was just going to say, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell for the Inforunners. If you really want to go that extra yard, you can always hit us up on Patreon and support us there. It really does help us just make sure we've got better equipment, and you'll notice Execute's HD now.
Yeah, I got a
crappy
camera.
So
all right. Is that everything?
So all of those things. Yep.
All right. So he's been Paul, he's been Hader, and he's been Algared, and everyone say bye. Bye.
We're out of here. Take care. God bless and be well.